here Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday, which is a great ritual every year. You know, they say there's nothing as big in the world than Super Bowl Sunday. No Olympics, nothing. They have measured this thing. They say there's nothing in any world event around the world at one time that is as big as the Super Bowl. Nothing. No Olympics, no soccer, no nothing. Super Bowl is the biggest event on the planet every year. So that's a ritual, a grand ritual with these white folks. You know, that's the day. The interesting thing about it here is, I want to say that because we just lost our liquor a few minutes ago, but I want to give you this particular story. There's a brother in New York. One of these brothers in New York was doing a tape, and he decided to take some water and spit 4 waves, trying to mock me. And it was funny at first. I laughed and all. You know, I didn't really think nothing of it. But I decided, I asked my goddess to try to get a channel on it and see whether the gods liked it or not. She was like, oh no, they really don't like that. So what it was is, what I was trying to explain to the brother was, this ceremony has nothing to do with something that I invented. Number one, this came mainly from West Africa. Mainly from West Africa and on into the Caribbean. And it's a part of the Yoruba culture, the Voodoo culture, and those particular African traditional religions that they are systems where they spit the 4 waves, the rum's 4 waves. I got the ritual from one of the sisters, used to be named Sister Afrikan, who later on became a priest of Santeria and had to be smuggled into Cuba to get initiated. And basically what they have to do is that they have to take you to one of the islands, either Jamaica or someplace, and then you take a boat ride on into Cuba, and then you come back and you fly out the same way. But not, because you can't go straight to Cuba. So the point I was trying to make was, the guy was making mockery of it, and the reason why I asked the goddess to get a channel on it, because the thing happened in 2000, at the 2000 convention down in Atlanta, the 2000 conference, which was the Meeting of the Masters conference, which Khaled decided to come in and sabotage, because he was Meeting of the Metaphysical Masters, and somehow he was able to get in the conference and give a whole lecture on how the spirit is bullshit, and it's about walking around like soldiers and the guns and the bombs and all this kind of thing. So he made his case, but he messed up real bad, because the problem was, during the course of him making his case, because it was some type of sabotage that was going on. It's no thing. It was a conspiracy, because it was him. It was he. It was the guy named Conscious Rasta and Henry D. Bernardo who put this thing together. And Conscious Rasta later on admitted, and we have him on video, admitting that they purposely came down to Atlanta to sabotage the conference. Mainly on one aspect is because they didn't like what was going on metaphysically. It's just like a group of people. Our people's ego is a strange thing. They become claim to fame, let's say if they were historians or if they're revolutionaries, and that became their signature. Then when something else comes along, it means that you might have to just break down and do some more studying. Because that's the way it is, you see what I'm saying? And therefore, they have become this master over what they're dealing with and all, and they don't want to go further in doing study. This is the way a lot of people start to level other things. So here it is, when this mystery thing came about, these people were famous for the historical, the revolutionary type thing, and it means they have to do study. And other than to just say, hey, this is some other thing, this is an intelligentsia, we all need to keep studying. They would rather level what is coming out because it's a lazy trick or an ego trick. So anyway, during the course of him coming down trying to sabotage what is spiritual, and first of all, it had never been done in a conference before, which means we've had all these black consciousness from the late 80s on into the 2000s. They've never had anybody really to come up and actually sabotage a conference. And he wouldn't have dared, but he has a certain amount of respect, although they talk junk about Christianity, they talk junk about religion. They have a certain amount of respect. They would never go up into a black church and stand up and sabotage a sermon or a black church or anything that's going on. And it would be wrong to do that for the simple fact that we know that our people are in those churches, and you might not agree with the ideology, but for you to go up into anybody's meeting and sabotage, you see something like that, it's really mean-spirited. So that was already a kick in the ass against the spirits. But he messed up because then he went beyond the line. Because what I did, hopefully, because we already knew there was going to be a sabotage. And what we did was, we set the stage with our magic. I already knew that half of the sabotaging or the saboteuring would be because of me. We had gotten word 2 to 3 weeks before that Carter was coming down to sabotage the lecture. So I decided to go in at the time and dress the lecture, fix the lecture with my own energy based on the spirit aspect. So since no one took it upon themselves to do it, I went in and dressed the lecture from a voodoo type of structure. So when Carter came in and he did his little bit at the end of the saboteuring, which you really couldn't really get off, it really kind of sounds stupid because you're in the middle of a metaphysical or spiritual lecture. And it's kind of stupid for you to say this, but anyway, when he didn't get off, he went to the table and went beyond the little petty squabble or whatever he thought he was doing when he basically made mockery of the spirits and the alcohol and all the stuff that I had set down for Batala. At the time it was Batala Legba and basically Erzuli and the whole voodoo thing. And he went and made mockery about their alcohol and made mockery about their sin because he's Muslim. And when he did that, you see, it was almost like 1 year later when his poisoning happened, you see, and his poisoning happened, he didn't have a spiritual guide around him. You see what I'm saying? To block, because he had cursed the ones who would actually be the ones that would block for him. You see what I'm saying? And it went down real bad because the new stuff out, and I have a tape called The Assassination of Black Consciousness that I did a year ago in New York in Harlem, where a collaboration of me and some brothers from Harlem that was ex-Black Panther Party members, new Black Panther Party members, had also gotten some documentation on his wife and how the whole thing, when he fell out, he got poisoned, he came home, he ate some food. He came home, he made love to her, he got up, he stumbled to the bathroom, he threw up on the rug, he stumbled to the bathroom, he shitted on himself, he stumbled to the bathroom and he collapsed at the door. His wife then put a pillow under his head and went back to sleep for 3 hours. You see. Then she called the hospital that morning. You see what I'm saying? By that time, he was in the coma. And one of the sisters named Atifa, I think her name was Atifa. I can't think of her name. She was second in command of the New Black Panther Party. She said, well, that's all right. We still need to find out was it poison or not. She said, well, I've already cleaned up the rug. She said, well, did he vomit on the floor? They said, because you can get some, because I think he also vomited on the actual, on the sheets and stuff. So she washed all of that and cleaned the rug. He said, but there's a wood floor, the part of it was wood floor. If he vomited on the wood floor, you can take a razor blade and dip up some shellac and they can still test it to see the poison. She said, I mocked. And anyway, she ended up, believe it or not, escaping to Israel. So it was a whole Jewish, Italian connection. You see what I'm saying? So she ended up disappearing out of America. It is also customary that we know now, based on certain insights of the Muslims, insights of the Nation of Islam, that Malcolm X might have been castrated, because there was things about the bodies turned a certain way, and this was a certain ritual. When his body left Atlanta, when Khaled's body left Atlanta to go to New York for the funeral, the body was all changed around, and there could also have been some type of castration done. You see what I'm saying? But his wife was in on it. He was poisoned in D.C. Threw up in the McDonald's in D.C. You see what I'm saying? What you doing in damn McDonald's? Even I know you don't want to fuck around there. He threw up in the McDonald's in D.C. and the wife was in on the whole thing. But my point was, his son, he had a son that actually looks, he has a son in California that looks identical to him. The son in California called me the day he went into the coma. He said, I've already gotten in touch with my pops. And he's like in between. He's not, because he was in the coma, they unplugged the machine, and I think he died about 2 days later. He said, he came to me and said, I don't know nothing about the spirit thing. You might need to help me. And he said in so many words, he helped him pass to the other side. And to show you how the spirit world goes, the spirit world goes, we'll get into some of that also today, that was 2002, 2001. But one of the sisters called from California. She said, well, we got another sister that had the same kind of coma, or the same kind of aneurysm that he had, and as a result, she was able to regain consciousness, and she's fine now. But it was some type of spiritual path that she was hooked up with. You see what I'm saying? And he ended up in a white hospital with Ku Klux Klansmen and that whole 9 yards. And they got these idiots out here, New Black Panther Party, sitting up, ain't nobody gonna get in this hospital to hurt this brother. Like, are you asshole? It's the damn hospital. You trying to keep motherfuckers out. It's the niggas that's on the inside of this thing you got to worry about. So here goes again where the whole spirit thing broke down. And I can understand what's going on here with the revolution and everything. They keep thinking that spirit has something to do with religion. Two different systems. 98% of what you know as religion has really nothing to do with spirituality. As a matter of fact, most things of spirituality are actually taboo in religion. 98% of what religion tells you you don't supposed to do is vital when it comes to the spirit realm. You see what I'm saying? So to make a long story short, 2 years later, in 2003, you had the crash. Remember they had a last one, shuttle crash in 2003? It was like, I think it was like February the 1st. Well, January the 30th or whatever. How many? It's 31 days or 30 days?
31.
January the 31st. I'm in St. Louis. I had gone to Kansas City, Kansas to do a lecture for Black History Month, which was going to be the first weekend in February. The sister that brought me up said, hey, look, we got these train tickets to St. Louis. We need to go to St. Louis and check out the monuments and check out the museums and do some stuff, because you got about a week before you do the lecture. And you will. And so we went up to St. Louis. So we was in this hotel room in St. Louis. We was getting ready to go to some exhibit. And the sister said, wait a minute, there's somebody coming through. And she really didn't even know who Khaled was. That's when you know it's authentic. She said, is Khaled Muhammad? I'm like, yeah, I know Khaled. She said, well, he's coming through. And I said, what? And she said, well, she started channeling. She's saying there's something about him being trapped on a certain dimension, and he needs your help to get past a certain dimension to go on where he needs to go. And I said, well, no problem. You know, no problem. So I said, well, you know, let's call on some of the, and so what we did was we worked it out. We had to go through a list of deities, the ones that were, it's just like anything else. You know, just like you got to go to this doctor to help you do this. You got to go to this doctor. You got an eye doctor. We had to go through a list of entities, that would do the job, was able to take him through certain gateways. So it's a whole spiritual terrain on the other side. We'll go into some of that today. Because the Spirit always sets the tempo of what we need to talk about. So I said, well, you know, we need to call on some of these deities. So we went, and certain ones came up and said, well, we can help him, we can help him. And whatever happened, he passed on to where he had to pass and went on to where he needed to go. You see what I'm saying? So, but the point I'm trying to make here is, had he fared better, you never know what happens when you got these particular spiritual people around you. Now let me give you an example of what's going on. A lot of people have gotten poisoned before and don't necessarily result into an aneurysm. It is interesting here, I'm just putting this out here to let you know, it is ironic that the gods that he cursed, the entities that he made mockery of, one of their main ways of dealing with humans is aneurysms. I just want to let you know that. There's a million ways you can die from being poisoned. He just so happened to get an aneurysm based on being poisoned. And that's one of Obatala, who deals with the head. That's one of his specialties. See, now, you say, well, why would they get mad at you making mockery? And it's simple. It's a social thing and it's a psychological thing, but it's like this. Some of these entities know that we have been stuck in fundamentalism for years. They know that we have been slaves, you see, to somebody else's concept of what religion is, which is one of our biggest curses. And then you have somebody will come and pour libations and start giving a list of entities, you see what I'm saying, that our people haven't had privy to in 600 years, 700 years, 1,000 years. So the spirit world feels this is a great opportunity, not for the practitioners that's into these things, but for the general audience who are able to partake in a ceremony where these particular names are being called that they haven't heard or been disconnected from for either thousands of years or a little over hundreds of years, you know, based on what slavery. So they feel it's a grand procession and a grand honor to have their own people, the descendants of the ancestors, their own bloodline, call their names, and to do things based on ceremonies that's related to them. So they don't take time to, when they get their only opportunity, you see what I'm saying, to get this grand procession so our people can know these spirits that we're used to be connected with, and you got a motherfucker coming up in here because he's a Muslim or whatever this shit here, making mockery of this shit. You see what I'm saying? You see. So that's the kind of thing that happens. So when the brother did that on the tape the other month, I'm like, you better watch this. He just so happens to be a Muslim. You see what I'm saying? Which just means another form of Judeo-Christian complex. You see what I'm saying? Deaf, dumb, and blind. And to make mockery of the spirit world, you see what I'm saying? And these religions who suggest that you're not supposed to be spiritual. You're supposed to be a slave and always bow down in fear when it comes to the unseen world. And that's the reason why, you know, we are now the reverse. We are now the 19th century or the 1800s white man who only believed in what he could see. And now, with years of religion, we now, you see what I'm saying? We don't really believe in things that's spiritual. And the white folks, on the other hand, it seems has changed. You see, they into all our shit. So the brother was back here the other day saying, you know, I'm pretty much just, I got this, what I can see and what I can feel and this hard evidence. I'm like, well, you're going to be in trouble forever. You see what I'm saying? Because that's the lowest level that you can be on the planet. is to be a person totally disconnected from the spirit world like the white boy used to be. And over the years, with all of the stuff that he has usurped from around the planet, studying all our indigenous stuff, they don't have a problem with it. And here it is, we are black people, the origins of it, and we are scared of everything, and we got a problem with anything, you see, that's spiritual, because we are religious. You see what I'm saying? Which has nothing to do with spirit whatsoever. So I say that and all this type of thing here is, when the brother was doing this, another Muslim, when he was making mockery and stuff, I'm like, well, you know, that you fend for yourself, because you're not cursing me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just dealing with the instructions on how it was done based on how I was taught through people who went through certain initiations. You understand what I'm saying? And it has worked for me over the years. So I just wanted to put that out there on how these things, how serious the spirit world is, and pretty much whereas most religious people know that you don't really desecrate or make mockery of other people's worship. Right. That even filtered into the religion, although they do it. You understand what I'm saying? It's really a no-no for people on the high-ups. Now, when the Pope, this high beast, in 1999, called for all spiritual systems to come and join. He didn't call for all different parts of Christianity, all different parts of Islam, all different parts of Judaism. He called from voodoo people in Dahomey, Africa. He called for Tibetan masters in Tibet. He called for all the indigenous spiritual cultures around to come in and somehow have some type of dialogue of what is really spirit, because the Pope knows in actuality the other shit is only a simulation of that which is spirit. It is the indigenous aspects of these particular cultures that deal with this particular spiritual stuff. And he made a call in 99 before the millennium, because they thought they wasn't going to be here. And he made a call to get all these spiritual people, including the voodoo people from Dahomey. You see what I'm saying? Africa, as well as the voodoo in the Caribbean and the Yoruba. You see what I'm saying? And the Afikan. And you see what I'm saying? And whatever South African shamans that's left and different things like that. So if the damn Pope, who is the man that is over this doggone world domination, sees the benefit of saying, I need to try to save my ass, the call for this, you know damn well you don't need to be no nigger out here talking before black people making mockery of our spiritual shit like that. You see what I'm saying? And remember now, there's only one sin, basically. All the rest of the stuff is cause and effect. The karma thing that you think is no universal karma, somebody out there watching your pathetic behind and what you do wrong. It's you cause your own heart relationship will cause whatever effects you have down here based on your own mind. But there's only one ultimate sin. And that is, and I said that last night, when a person is rising to a certain level out of their death, out of their sleep, into a certain form of consciousness, and if you was to step in the way and block their spiritual progress by your own idiosyncrasies or ulterior motives based on ego or whatever type thing, that you feel that you want to get these particular people and sway them into your own agenda. When you block their spiritual progress, that is the most fucked up thing you can do in the spirit world. Because because everything else is an illusion. So if that person is coming out of that illusion, then that means that the only thing that you can never do is to stand into the doorway of that person coming out of that illusion. You see what I'm saying? So I put that down to preface that and all. I put that on the tape. Teach the people in the land, not you here. This is for the people going out in the land that don't think that in some kind of way that because you think that your little God basically has your back, that you're going to be, you know what I'm saying, guarded against certain spirits out here, because 90% of the people who don't look at the spirit world as being something on a major level are people in religion, and the people of religion is basically dealing with an absentee landlord. That is the reason how it could assure the world rulers to give you that religion. They know that you cannot get anything back from it because they understand that your deities are a simulation deities and a composite deities that don't have no link to the upper world. So when you say the word God, well, you need to research that and find out what the hell that's about. You see what I'm saying? You're still talking about what, a German deity? You see what I'm saying? Well, damn. Well, God's going to take care of me. Well, some motherfucker from Germany going to take care of you? A Scandinavian cracker going to take care of you? You see what I'm saying? And when you look at these particular, by the time the Muslims get the word Allah, you see what I'm saying? There's the Elohim, there is the Ali. You know what that's talking about? That's talking about niggas. You the Allah. You gonna trust a nigga out here with a slew foot to take care of you? You have to understand what they call the center. You see, where these things come from and where they're on your side or whatever. It's a lot more study than basically what they give you in world religion. That's why world religions are safe for the government. They know that somehow between the connection of you down here and the divinity that you're trying to contact, there's all types of confusion. You see what I'm saying? And all types of muddled misconceptions of you tapping into the original source, which is ultimately yourself. This is the only vessel in for you to reach the higher cosmos. You understand what I'm saying? This is the only way. You see, so going back, most people that's in religion, you see what I'm saying, are the ones that's unprotected. You see, unprotected. So I just want to put those things out there. Not for you, but like I said, for the people in TV land that don't understand what's going down. Now, this is not to have a fear of the entities. You see what I'm saying? It's not to have a fear of the entities. You see, I talk shit to them, but I am one of them. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not making mockery of them as if to say that I don't recognize the supreme power of what myself and these entities hold. You see what I'm saying? And some fake shit. Whereas we know that the white boy, he rolled into Haiti in 2004, in 1994 to get, the whole reason for they going there was to find a voodoo spiritual shaman that was high up. They never was able to even go anywhere in a 100-mile radius of where this particular person resided. That was the whole reason that it was over there. But they did go to Baghdad, you see what I'm saying? Which is one of the chief centers for the study of Islam in the particular world, that when the European got his study, it was one of the places where the Moors first synthesized the information to take it on up into Europe. They rolled in there. They even went to war on one of their holidays. They went to war on Ramadan to let you know, because they understand there's a disconnection between the concept of Allah that was given to them by the Africans. You understand what I'm saying? And the way they get it, it's a lesser deity. It's a subordinate deity on the way they're getting, because they don't understand the full translations of this. It's more of a chain of command. You understand what I'm saying? And it means a field of energy, but when you say a field of energy, what does that field of energy, where is it connected to? What is the original source? Or where is the source of where it would be in the new world? Because you have to track these entities because the names change. I'm saying that from a person who studies spirituality on a multiple and a multifaceted, multicultural. When I'm saying multicultural, I'm talking about universal type of aspect. It is just that complex. And it's just that, and it's so simple, you understand, on one particular aspect, if you deal on the spirit level. I'm just saying that now to let you know that it shows you the disconnection of how we have fallen when it comes to religion, where the white boy knows that this is safe. You know, y'all all right? Let's go to let's spit some rum, and we're gonna do a few of these. We're gonna spit the rum to a laxmi, And like I say, this is very, very important. I'm just about out of the pictures, but I do have the artist rendering left. This is the one. These are the ones, like I said, for the ones who didn't get them, this is the one that is very important to go deeper into this today, because we're talking about a connection of a certain amount of energy and a certain amount of prosperity and all. And so this particular one is very, very important. Is the Lakshmi figures. It's very important as far as the energy. Lakshmi is also the Hemmitt head rule and a form of Mayat, and we do have Mayat pictures and all, but you need to latch on to some of this particular thing. We're going to go into this particular knowledge and this particular inquiry into her, because I'm telling you, she works. But remember, she works with me. Sometimes it's not as it can be. You look for prosperity a lot of times. We try to look for prosperity a lot of times in monetary, and prosperity comes on a multifaceted level, and you just got to understand when you are prosperous. You see what I'm saying? Just having a peace of mind or an ease psychologically, where you ain't fucked up in the head, is a form of prosperity. You see what I'm saying? On the psychological level, you know. Because we know in actuality, you got thousands of people that's got all the kind of money in the world, and it's just as unhappy and as psychologically messed up in the head as ever. You see what I'm saying? Michael Jackson is a great indication of that. You understand what I'm saying? It's a great indication of whatever deal he is, you know. But it's a form of mental illness, because he literally thought that he was infallible when it came to white folks. He thought that I'm untouchable. I'm Michael Jackson. They love me. You know what I'm saying? And didn't take the first incident 11, 12, 13 years ago. You see what I'm saying? 12 years later, it's the same bullshit. Or 10 years, you know, or whatever the deal was from 93. You see. So we know that having money does not necessarily mean that in actuality that's going to be an end of your problems. So this prosperity thing we're talking about here is also has a lot to do with it's also spiritual prosperity. We're going to deal with the whole heart chakra aspect of what that's also talking about too. What that is talking about. Y'all all right? Okay. Let's give them the juice so we can go on with it. Mm-hmm.
One question.
Yeah.
The source of juice or energy that you and the other gods that are in the ether, where does that come from?
Believe it or not, you see that how spiritual it is? When they ask Vishnu, which is the East Indian Heru, he's kicking ass and he's got this arrayment of power, and the same power that you would attribute to Jesus. They ask him, who is it? What is it? Where do you get this power from? His question is, I got it from Lakshmi. That's the reason. So in so many words, we are really vibing on what's going on. I'll go into what that is actually about. After I pull libation, we'll go right into that. This is the source of feminine energy, and the source of prosperity that we're talking about is a certain energy that even in Hemmitt they said it would come down to one primal source that would be returned and rejuvenated. In this particular case, the Mayatian principle, the one that showed up is Lakshmi. You see what I'm saying? So, and then we'll go into that particular aspect of what that is. Just remember now, for the people that can't get with the East Indian thing, this is the legacy of the pre-dynastic Hamites, your Nubians, your Cushite, your Punt, and all the stuff that predates Kemet, but even Kemet. You understand what I'm saying? That was later preserved in East India. And I'm going to go into the actual aspect of that. But remember, get the East Indian thing out of your head. It's pre-dynastic Egyptian that we're talking about. You see what I'm saying? It's that type of thing. And it's very interesting, and we'll trace this thing on into where it is today, but that's very important. So that's a good question. We're going to entertain that in a few minutes. It's on the road. We're going to entertain that in a few minutes. We have pretty much now have just about everything we need for the longevity of how long we're going to be here. It could be a couple of weeks, couple of months, couple of years, I don't know. But we now can sustain ourselves on a higher level. The best quality of what we can get in hell, there's no problem doing it. It's just that the location of that source is right here in your heart chakra. That's where she resides. But you cannot lie to yourself, which means, as they say, the love of self. But that can also be a cliche catchphrase. We've been hearing that. You got to love yourself. Well, that's kind of vague and broad. How does one love oneself? One of the ways to do it is never compare yourself to somebody else as a criteria on where you think you need to be along in your path. Your path is unique. You are unique. That means if you don't compare yourself based on your concept of beauty, you see what I'm saying? You might think somebody else is attractive, but whose perception of what you think that person is attracted by? You see what I'm saying? You know, certain things, you might think that person is wealthy, but whose concept? You see what I'm saying? Because he is able to go out and buy some stuff that another human has created. You ever thought about that? Well, if he's got the access to buy all that shit that these people are creating, what does that tell you about the motherfuckers who are creating that stuff? You see what I'm saying? And what is the origin of that inspiration? Whatever they have created in this technological shit that you can't live with, the origin of that inspiration is what? It's coming back to us. Right. See what I'm saying? But how does one love themselves? We got something, it's real simple. We got several concepts of this. But there's something about you that's uniquely you that you like about yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's uniquely you like about yourself. You see, I don't know what it is. You might scratch your ass the right way. You know what I'm saying? It might be something that you know that you say, I like when I do that shit there. You know what I'm saying? You might can cook a certain way. You know, you might can eat some ice cream a certain way. You know what I'm saying? You know, like my queen, it's amazing when I met this motherfucker, I'm like, shit, I'm gonna be 400 pounds. I can't fuck with you. She was eating birthday cake and chasing it down with Pepsi. She don't do like me with no stomach, no nothing. Just the weight, just, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those people, you know, you got some people like that. You're like, oh, I hate that bitch there. Motherfucker can eat what the fuck they want and don't blow up. You got some people like that. You know what I'm saying? Can eat the fat off the hog. You see what I'm saying? On top of some fat off of some damn goat and nothing happens to it. You see? But maybe that's something unique to her. What I'm trying to say here is everybody here got something that they love about themselves. You just got to find out what it is. And then magnify that tenfold. That is the God property of what they talk about, the letters of the different attributes. You just got to find out what is your main attribute. You see what I'm saying? You know, and whatever you do, some people might can drink real good. You know what I'm saying? Some people might, I don't know. Whatever it is, it don't necessarily have to be moralistic either. You know what I'm saying? You know, some people, my mama can talk on the phone for hours to anybody about any conversation ever. You know what I'm saying? She just talk like that. She got a conversation with everybody for hours except me. She be trying to count down the numbers of when she can get off the fucking phone with me. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm that middle child, and I ain't the baby, and I ain't the damn oldest. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be like, okay, they tick, the damn meter running. That's the damn sound. You know, when she can get off the phone with me. But it's all a spirit thing. Because And I often wondered, you know, why you don't have no time for me? And I often wondered, and it all, she said, motherfucker, you got the people. You got the world. You see what I'm saying? You are not my child on that level. You are the world's child. You might have came through me, but you are not related to me. That's what we got to understand also when we talk about family members and stuff like that. And you be thinking, oh, the machine broke down. No. I know that I'm not related to this woman. We have no connection as mother and son other than the rearing process. You see what I'm saying? And that's spiritual by knowing that. I'm another entity from another thing. I just needed a body to get down here. You see what I'm saying? So I might go 3 months without talking to her, but that's cool. You understand what I'm saying? So after 3 months and stuff, she got to meet a running motherfucker. Look, okay, look. Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, see you later. You see what I'm saying? And I am not psychologically affected by that. Why? Because even when I was a child, I never was around her. And you must so psychologically, we must understand that everything meets its own level. You see what I'm saying? And I'm well aware of that. And it's not a tragedy. If it wasn't that way, I wouldn't be the person that I am now. You see what I'm saying? Everybody is not supposed to have the same capacity. And that's the reason why you don't love yourself. Because the simple fact is you are looking at somebody else's method, somebody else's path, somebody else's capacity. And you're trying to measure yourself with that, and your talents lie in another arena. You understand what I'm saying? So my talent was not to be the son of my mother. She got 2 other children. You see what I'm saying? But the baby, he called her every fucking day. Sometimes he's riding in the car with me talking to her. You think for 1 minute she wants to say, put Bobby on the phone? She don't miss a goddamn beat. She into this child. But let's look at him. He's holistic behind it, but he would probably be devastated if she was to be that way to him. But she's a mother. She knows which child needs what type of attention. You see what I'm saying? And that's the way she dispatches or dispenses that type of energy. I never needed her for shit. You see what I'm saying? So therefore she can't give me what I don't need. Because it would probably be a resentment if she came that way, calling me every day, wanting to know what you doing. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is going back to this thing. You got to find what your capacity is, and you got to fall in love with that. I don't know what it is. You see what I'm saying? I don't know what it is. But that's what the deal is. And once you you find that love, and then we must neutralize the world around us. The world around us should become non-existent. It should become not worth nothing. You see what I'm saying? You must neutralize the world around you and only deal with the world based on what service it needs to help others. Other shit is spewed out. You see what I'm saying? So I don't have to worry about no more on what path my life is taking. You see what I'm saying? And I know it right now because the goddess I'm with, she had to, her Volvo wouldn't make it down to fucking Atlanta. So she had to sell her Volvo. The guy said, well, it can drive you around D.C., but it ain't going to make it to Atlanta. So we've been on the motherfucking bus, and I know the neighbors are saying, what the fuck is up? This woman is walking around in a motherfucking mink coat. She clean as shit. And all this type of stuff and all. What the fuck, motherfuckers ain't got a damn car? We're going to get a car, but it's really no big deal. You see what I'm saying? It's really no big deal. It's just only your concept of what you think is supposed to happen. And look, and I look at him, I say, now look at here. If we was in New York, the question would never come up whether we have an automobile or not. You see what I'm saying? Because some people in New York don't have automobiles, not because they can't afford it. It's just it's not feasible to have automobiles all the time for everybody in New York.